Hi, hello. We are in the define phase, module number 2 in our course, and which is about project identification and project charter. There are many tools we need to master to complete the activities in the define phase, the voice of customer, voice of business, CTQ tree, cost of poor quality, and problem stratification using Pareto and project prioritization matrix, and the project charter and SIPOC. And in this particular video, we are going to see about voice of customer, voice of business, and then CTQ tree. So what is voice of customer? Nothing but the statements or the expressions that come from your customer. These statements will drive either satisfaction or dissatisfaction, right? About your product features or the service features. These are called the voice of customer. For example, in this training program, your feedback is the voice of customer, isn't it? So sometimes the customer with whom you are actually collecting the feedback may be within the organization. Sometimes you do a survey within your employees, then it is voice of internal customer. Suppose if the voice is coming from people who are outside of your organization, they are called external customer. That means customers can be of two types, external customer and internal customer. If you consider the end user of a product, he is an external customer. If you consider your employees, he is an internal customer. But whether internal or external, the voice of the customers are mostly concerned about the quality of the product. I mean, in terms of the process, it is the effectiveness. The customers are mostly, concerned about the effectiveness of the process and rarely about the efficiency of the process, right? So voice of customer or the voice of the end user who receive the final product, or the voice of the process owners who receive the intermediate output from the previous process and use them as input in their process. Why do I use the word process owner here? Because in any business, any organization, there will be several processes connected in sequence, right? And once a process gets over, the output will be used as input to the next process. For example, I submit an application for a bank loan. Initially, my application will be reviewed by an executive, and then the reviewed application goes to the notice of the manager, and then manager will give his remarks, and then it goes to the head office. That means there are processes that are happening in several stages. The output of one process becomes the input to the next process. Now, all the process owner involved in this process are considered the customers. They're all internal customers. But the person who actually applied for the bank loan, he is an external customer, right? And their voice are very important. For example, if you are applying to the bank for a loan, and then the bank is taking too much time to process your application, and now you will be concerned about the processing time, loan processing time, and probably you may not like the bank taking more time. Suppose if the bank manager is not getting the required information in between to write his remarks, now this is also a voice. But now this voice is considered voice of internal customer, and right, and then both voice have to be resolved, both the internal voice as well as external voice. And if and only you can satisfy the voice of both all the internal customer, then the voice of the external customer will also get satisfied. And on the other side, voice of the business. Suppose if my bank is not able to disperse the targeted amount of loan, there is a problem, isn't it? The bank will not be able to generate the revenue, and because their business, their earnings comes from the interest earned from their various loans. So the loans disbursed is a metric which is important to the business, and who will be concerned about the amount of loan disbursed from every branch? Probably the leaders in the organization, the branch head or the country head, right? And that means the voice of the team leaders, managers, department heads, and CXO level executives about the products and services and processes of their business are called voice of business. The voice of business are concerned about both the effectiveness as well as efficiency. That means they'll be concerned about the quality of the offerings as well as the efficiency of their offerings, right? So these are the tools you can use to identify the problem areas. Problems or improvement opportunities. All right. So voice of the business defines the needs, wants, and expectation of the business owners, stakeholders, stockholders, and others who concern themselves with the long-term success and viability of your organization. Isn't it? For example, if I am a stockholder of your organization, I would expect the stock price, right? My share price to continuously go up. This is my requirement. This is the voice of the business, isn't it? Similarly, the stakeholders, even the customer is also a stakeholder, and the employees are also stakeholder, the business owners are also stakeholders. All of them will have an expectation, right? And that their expectations are called voice of business. Mostly voice of the business needs and expectations are usually derived from the organization's financial data, the balance sheet. If you look at the balance sheet, and that will talk about the dividend, whether the dividend growth is satisfactory, whether the price per share price divided by the earnings per share, and that is satisfactory. And these kind of metrics are considered the voice of the business. And if there is a problem there, let's say the share price is continuously going down, and that's an improvement opportunity, isn't it? So that's how the voice of the customer and the voice of the business helps us to understand the improvement opportunity. Problems or the improvement opportunities, right? Failure or the stepping stones for your success. So same way, problems are considered as the improvement opportunities. And that's why voice of customer and voice of business are considered as the tools for project identification. Now, voice of customers can be collected in different ways. You can collect the voice of the customer proactively as well as reactively. Proactively means no failure has happened, everything is going smooth, but still you are interacting with your customer and you are collecting the feedbacks given by the customer. Now this is proactive. If the failure has happened and then now you collect the feedback from the customer, now it is reactive. So ultimately, the expressions or the statements or the feedback given by the customer matters a lot to you. So such expressions and statements that drive either satisfaction or dissatisfaction about a product or service is called voice of customer. Voice of customer is used to describe the customer needs and their perceptions of the product or services. As I already mentioned, voice of customer can be collected in two methods, either using a reactive system or using a proactive system. What is a reactive system? A failure has happened. A defective product has reached the hands of the customer and the customer is dissatisfied by using your product. Now you are collecting his feedback. That's a reactive system. Suppose if you proactively collect the feedback, customer nothing wrong has happened, but still you have the habit of continuously interacting with your customer, continuously collecting the feedback from your customer, and you are doing some surveys and all those things. These are all proactive system, proactive way of collecting the voice of the customer. So these are the types or typical proactive system elements: conducting interviews with your customer, focus group discussions, and surveys, conducting a survey even before launching the product or right after launching the product. And these are all proactive. And sales visit interactions the sales managers or sales executives are having with your customers, and customer is making telephonic discussion with your sales executives, market research and monitoring the market conditions, benchmarking, studying how your competitors and some of the best brands are doing, and the business scorecards, your organization's business scorecards and department scorecards, the business dashboards, and all of them can be considered as the source of voice of customer. And if you refer to them in a proactive manner, they are called proactive sources. On the other hand, we also have the reactive system elements like customer complaints, the problem or service lines, technical support calls, customer service calls. The customer is making a claim because your product has failed, and then the sales reports, product return information, warranty claims, web page activity. Customers are writing badly about your services, your products in the web page, in the social media, and sales is suddenly going down and internal complaints are shooting up, and then no, you understand there is a problem. These are all reactive system elements, right? Whether you collect proactively or reactively, all of them are problems, and all of them are opportunities for improvement. And such improvement opportunities are considered the projects. 6 ways to collect the voice of the customer data, and something is illustrated here. This is customer interview, and this is on-site customer survey, and live chat opportunities, and then social media activities, and keeping an eye on net promoter score, and then using feedback forms, and there are other methods also exist, right? Hope the voice of customer and voice of business is understood. Now, what is important is, if you look at the voice of the customer, generally they will be vague in nature, right? They'll be very subjective and vague statements, and we need to convert the vague expressions or statements made by the customer into specific statements, and ultimately convert them into measurable metrics. If you make them into measurable metrics, the requirements becomes actionable, and so you can actually try to satisfy your customer. So voice of customers, or the expressions or the statements that drive customer satisfaction. See here, there is an example. I don't want to wait too long to get my call answered. And this is a voice received from a customer, who have called to your call center. And the customer was made to wait too long to answer the call. So now the problem is, the waiting time, the call answering time, right? And now how can I convert the statement into a measurable metric? So CTQ metrics, the critical to quality metrics, are the measurable elements that drives customer satisfaction. Now, what is driving the customer satisfaction in the example? When I make a call to your customer care, and if the customer care office immediately takes my call and answers my call, then I will be happy. So how do I measure my satisfaction now? One way I can measure the customer satisfaction is the time the call center office takes to answer my call answering time, right? That's one of the CTQ. And similarly, I don't want to wait too long to see my account manager. I'm going to a bank. I want to meet the manager who is specifically assigned to my account, and I am made to wait for 35 minutes, and I'm not happy with that. When I say I am, it means I am a representative of the customer segment. There are thousands of account holders, and everyone is concerned about the activity. All of them are made to wait for 35 minutes just to meet the account manager. So now the real problem is waiting, and the CTQ is customer waiting time. So we need to have a clear definition of what is customer waiting time, which is called the operational definition, and so people can clearly understand what's exactly the problem. So some useful quiz here. If a customer segment complains about the delay in responding to their queries, a metric that can be used to track performances, there are 4 options here: delivery time, occupancy rate, response time, and none of the above. And what is the customer problem here? There is a delay in response. So the metric that can help you to understand the problem is response time. Response time. So this is the correct answer. Now another question. If a customer segment complains about a longer transaction, a metric that can be used to track performance is delivery time, transaction time, satisfied, not satisfied, none of the above. Now the concern is about the transaction time, the time you take to complete a transaction. So the problem is associated with the transaction time. So start measuring the transaction time, monitor the transaction time, and try to reduce the transaction time. Customer satisfaction will improve, isn't it? So CTQ drives the customer satisfaction. Here comes an important question. Dash comes from within the business, and dash is provided by the customer. So the voice that comes within the business is called voice of business. And where is VOB? Yes, we have 2 options, number 1 and number 4. And dash is provided by the customer. Which is provided by the customer? Voice of customer is provided by the customer. So 4th option is the correct. VOB comes from within the business. VOC is provided by the customer. Now one more question. To capture the voice of the customer, it is important to collect data from a large representative sample of the target customer base. To collect this data, generally Six Sigma practitioners use government records, surveys and questionnaires, census data, and case studies. So which is the best option? And doing a survey to the specific customer segment using questionnaire is the best option. So whenever you are running out of information, the best option is the best tool that you can use to understand the problem clearly is go for surveys using properly designed questionnaires. Now, let us understand CTQ tree. For that purpose, let me have a voice of the customer. A customer is, saying like this. A customer means a customer segment. I just need a quality footwear. The statement is very vague in the sense less specific, and then I can't measure quality directly, isn't it? When a customer says I need a quality footwear, then how do I measure quality? I need some metrics to measure the quality. So I need to identify the drivers of satisfaction. First driver of satisfaction is the footwear should be lightweighted, and then comfortable, and then it should be durable, and then it should be roomy enough, and then it should be stable, and so on and so on and so on. How do you get to know all these things? Through surveys with appropriate questionnaires, right? You must ask your customer, you must dig for more details, and so that the customer can throw away the drivers of satisfaction. Now we have got 5 drivers of satisfaction. Now we should convert each driver of satisfaction into some measurable metrics. When I say lightweight, I am talking about the overall weight of the footwear in grams. Maybe the dimensions also. You can always have multiple CTQs for any driver of the satisfaction. Comfortable. When I say comfortable, the customer is concerned about the heel height. When I say durable, the customer is concerned about the kilometers that he can run, walk, or play, a game while using the particular footwear. Roomy enough. That means the customer is concerned about the movement of the fingers within the footwear. That means the contour width and depth becomes the CTQ. And the stability in the footwear means whether the heel height is flat throughout or not, right? The heel flatness. That means the less specific statements or expressions made by the customer are now converted to more specific statement using the drivers of satisfaction. Moreover, we have identified certain metrics, nothing but the technical specifications of a product. And now the requirement is more specific and it is easy to measure. And whatever metrics you see on the right side, these are all called CTQs. And the entire diagram is called CTQ tree. And that's how CTQ tree is helping you to derive the CTQ from the voice of the customer. Another example here, I need a good service. Good service means the drivers of satisfactions are considered to be knowledgeable representatives, friendly representative, and short waiting time. And then each one you are further diving deeper. Knowledgeable representative means the answer given by the representative should be correct, something like that. Similarly, friendly representative means customer should be always greeted by name while addressing any call or whenever addressing a customer. Short waiting means the time that you place a customer on hold whenever he calls, right? Likewise, a general requirement is converted into specific requirement, and hard to measure requirement is converted into easy to measure requirement, and all that you see on the right side are CTQs. Now, certain critical to quality characteristics. Example, in a manufacturing segment, the dimension of the product, the surface finish, the strength of the product, and so on, right? In a fast-moving consumer good items, let's say a cool drink, the fill volume is a CTQ, and then the FSSAI will have its own guidelines, and those parameters also indicated in the product, and they are also CTQs. Similarly, in the banking industry, the account balance, the minimum account balance you need to maintain, that's a CTQ. If you are allowed to maintain a lower account balance, then more customers will prefer and then open such account, isn't it? If they expect you to maintain a minimum balance of 1 lakh, I don't know how many customers would like to open such bank account, because your money is getting blocked there. And then the interest rate on the loan or interest rate on your savings account, these are all CTQs as far as the banking industry is concerned. And then the loan processing time. So these are all CTQs, and understand the CTQs in your business, improve them, customer satisfaction will improve. If CTQs are not, as per the requirement, they're all well below the requirement, that's an improvement opportunity. Improving the CTQ is a Six Sigma project. Now, critical to business, look at here, market share, share price, the financial data. Generally, these kind of financial performance measures are, collected from the top level leaders in the organization, because their goals are strategic in nature, and so their metrics will also be, metrics which you can improve only in the long term. But when you come to the middle level executives or middle level managers, and their metrics will be tactical in nature, and you can see here overall equipment effectiveness, overall plant efficiency, inventory turnover ratio, and mean time between failure, and these are all metrics which are tactical in nature, which means considerable amount of effort is required. At least you need to spend at least one complete year to see an impact in these metrics. However, at the down level people, down level managers, and you can hear these kind of problems. The defect ratio, process capability indices are not good, sigma levels are not good, work in progress is too much, inventory levels are very high, cycle time is high, first pass yield is bad, takt time is high, cycle time is high, and all these things are at the operational level issues expressed in the form of a metric. These are all, anyway, all of them are I can consider it as critical to business characteristics. If these metrics are at a problem, then these problems can also be considered as improvement opportunity, and then you can float a Six Sigma project on that. So what is that we learned in this particular session? Voice of customer, or the expressions or statements made by your customer that eventually drive their satisfaction. Voice of business, or the expressions or statement that drive satisfaction of the business leaders in your organization. And customers can be internal or external. If the customer is within your organization, he is considered the internal customer. For example, the output produced by my process comes to your process, right? I belong to production department and you belong to assembly department. All that I produce finally comes to the assembly department. Now the assembly department is an internal customer to the production department, isn't it? Something like that. Or if the customer is outside of the organization, he will be considered as external customer. CTQ stands for critical to quality characteristics. If the vague and difficult to measure requirements of customers are converted to specific measurable metrics, they are called CTQs, critical to quality characteristics. A CTQ tree is a tool that can help you convert the vague voice of the customer into measurable metrics called CTQ, critical to quality characteristics. Hope the lessons on the defined phase tools are made easy and understandable for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll meet you again with a few more interesting lessons and interesting tools in the next video. Thank you.